Good morning, Delaware and surrounding areas. You are now tuned in to this week's Coffee with Curry. Join us every Sunday at 11 a.m. with new guests every week. So grab your cup of coffee and join us on Coffee with Curry.
Hey, Wilmington, normally when I come on the air, I give you this great burst of energy. But today we celebrate the life and the legacy of a true hero. I've only been in Wilmington, Delaware for the past 20 years, in the state of Delaware for the past 30. But upon arriving here in Wilmington, one of the first people who I got to know was a brother who was a fighter and did not take tea for the cold. And that is in the form of Brother Richard Mouse Smith. I am saddened, and this have really the shocking news of his transition is something that I just was not anticipating. We were working on things even now that is going on in and around the state, and not to know that he had just transitioned has just really been heart-shattering. I want today to be that day when we just take a moment. I had other things to talk about on our show for today, but I'm going to take a moment and just do a tribute to him. You know, the good we've done often succeeds us, but the bad stay before us. When we speak of a mouse, or we call him Richard Smith by birth, we speak of a fighter, a giant. He led the way in many, many different ways in order to help someone who did not have the power to speak for themselves. He was very selfless. And I know that there are people who are not so in tune with the mouse that we knew. I don't care whether it was down in Seaford, Delaware, or up in Wilmington. If you were experiencing injustice, he fought. He fought, and he fought very strong, and he could not be purchased. There were those politicians who tried to purchase him many times, that he could sell out his community, and he just wouldn't do it. Because at the end of the day, you must be guided by your convictions. And I do believe with all my heart that Richard Smith, better known as Mouse, was guided by his convictions. Today, we're going to just take a look back over the many interviews he's done, the life work that he has done. And I want you to just take a moment to thank God with me for his life and his legacy. Our prayers are going out to his family, his children, who are now having to deal with the preparation for services. And once we get those details, we will certainly share them with you. But honestly, this is a hurt day. And I'm a pastor, and I understand the dynamics of death and things of that nature. But as I shared, we were even working on something now, and I'm not going to let the fight stop. We're going to continue the fight. But it's a shock. It wasn't expected, and he's no longer with us. I received a call from Kobe the evening when they discovered that he had transitioned. Kobe was very distraught, and I'm praying for him as well. And I sent him a text message just to tell him to hold in there, because the fight must continue in order for Mouse's legacy to live, because we live longer through our legacy than we will ever live in this life. I hope today, as we spend this time, we take the precious memories we had together. I could name many, many times when we got into the tank and started fighting for justice. But the one that I really want to grab before we start some of the interviews that he's done some interviews here on Coffee with Curry, done some interviews with the NAACP. He's done interviews when the cops were beating our children, and they wanted to have some transparency. You'll see all of that today. We're going to just show you a reflection of the work that the man did. But the one thing that comes to my mind immediately is when I was serving as the chairman of the board for the Moyer Academy. I didn't know Mouse. I knew of him. And when he heard how the state was just playing games with young people's minds while we were really trying to turn the school around. But it was a political decision to get rid of it. He got in the tank and he started fighting. He got his lawyers. He got us heard. Now, at the end of the day, the school was closed, but he got in there and he fought. He fought so strong that it caused other people to stand up and say, this is just not right. You can't play with children's lives in the way that they were playing with the children's lives. Just because of politics, just because we don't want the school to continue. I will miss Mouse. He was a friend. We talked. That's why it was such a shock, because we were working on a case. Even right now, there are cases that I had that I was dealing with where the Department of Justice wasn't responding right, or politicians weren't responding right. Mouse would jump in and do what he needed to do and throw the whole weight of the NAACP to make sure that justice prevailed. Today, we take a moment from our busy schedule. Today, we take a moment from all of the coffee with Curry and all the excitement of things that that's going on in our lives. And we remember the man. We remember the giant. We remember the hero. Every man cannot be famous. This is a quote from Dr. King. Because every man cannot be well known. But every man can be great. Because every man can serve. Without a shadow of a doubt, Mouse served humanity with great dignity. Say what you will, say what you must, but when you finish talking, you have to confess he was a man who stood taller in his stocking feet than most other men do on stilts.
Richard Mouse Smith was a fierce and selfless advocate for the voiceless, the overlooked, and the unprotected. He was a friend to President Biden, helping him secure his Senate seat with crucial black votes. He was the NAACP Delaware chapter president, where he tirelessly worked to provide resources to those in need. He was a leader and role model in the community in which he was born and raised. He has been a voice of reason, wisdom, intelligence, empathy, and love to changemakers throughout the state and nation. Delaware Governor-elect Matt Meyer, in an Instagram post mourning his passing, called Smith an unofficial advisor. Richard Smith's long life was dedicated to the relentless pursuit of justice and equality. This is the story of the great leader, civic and social activist, and organizer who was Richard Mouse Smith. Smith was born on the east side of Wilmington in 1949. Dr. Hara Wright Smith's book, African Americans of Wilmington's East Side, provides a history of African American progress in the area, which she says covers east of Market Street to Buttonwood Street between the Christina River to the south at Front Street, and Brandywine Creek to the north at East 16th, and covering portions of the Heald Street area. The East Side was a hub for black-owned businesses, particularly on French Street. When Smith was born, these businesses included the likes of Hopkins National Theater, Wilmington's only black-owned theater, the Phillips Restaurant, the Lawson Hotel, listed on the Green Book as a safe place for travelers, a few medical practitioners, Milburn's Pharmacy, and the Charles H. Gray Funeral Home, among others. The Walnut Street YMCA was also a staple, providing a community center for the African American population and a safe place for groups like the NAACP to meet. It is now regarded as a historic location. In 1940, John O. Hopkins Sr. promised that if elected, quote, he would see that more blacks were placed on the city payroll. The total earnings of African Americans on city payroll that year was $1,000. But just a few years later was more than $219,000. Richard Smith attended Howard High School, which is listed in the National Register of Historic Places and designated as a National Historic Landmark. The school was founded in 1867 by the Association for the Moral Improvement and Education of Colored People and named for Civil War General Oliver Otis Howard. According to an article on Smith from Delaware Today, Smith was also in a gang, the 13th Street Stompers. Gangs at the time were much different from what we know them to be today. Smith said, "We mostly got together and played sports, although there would be fistfights every now and then. It was a different world back then, and gangs were more like clubs. There were stores on every corner in Wilmington, and people would hang out peacefully and everybody got along."
I was doing everything out there. I was one of those kids you all dealing with today. I didn't have no guns, but I had this real good.
The article continues to say, Smith wasn't that interested in civil rights for most of his young life, simply because he was unaware of what civil rights were. Smith said, "We had a mixed community, and we played together and worked together, so I didn't know racism until 1961. Though nearly 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, and 8 years after the Brown v. Board of Education ruling, Delaware businesses still held the right to deny service to black customers. This was because of the Delaware Code quote-unquote innkeeper law, a section of Title 24 that read, "No keeper of an inn, tavern, hotel, or restaurant, or other place of public entertainment or refreshment of travelers, guests, or customers shall be obliged by law to furnish entertainment or refreshment to persons whose reception or entertainment by the proprietor would be offensive to the major part of the proprietor's customers and would injure business." That discovery triggered something deep within Richard Smith, so he joined protest groups that helped integrate those businesses. Smith said, "That changed my life. That's when I knew what my calling was. I saw what injustice was, and I saw how to combat that injustice, and that was by organizing and speaking with one voice." One example of protest from that time is the 1962 Hollywood Diner sit-in, when a mix of 7 Delaware State University and University of Delaware students sat down at the whites-only diner and refused to leave until served, ending in their arrest. Another likely influence for Smith's dedication to social activism is a lifelong friend he met when he was 14. That friend was a local lifeguard 5 years Smith's elder, who would later become his best man and, moreover, the President of the United States.
He was a lifeguard along with the black lifeguards. That's when I first seen Joe, and we became friends.
It was one of the best things I've ever done because it gave me a sense that we really didn't know one another.
We'll tell them everything, man.
The chair was right here. This chair was right here. This chair was right here. The pool and the diving pool was here. And we had a way of 3 or 4 gangs where we the Romans, Riverside, the Park, and other gangs would come. And the Romans was like the oldest gang compared to everybody else. And Joe came in, and one thing they didn't like us doing was bouncing on the diving board, especially the high diving board. But we was good. So everybody liked to play the dozens. So Joe heard us play the dozen. We used to talk about our moms, and you know how it was, Herman, and how this and that. So when Joe told Corn Pop to stop, don't bounce on the board, Joe used not only Esther, but he used some French language. Okay? You know what I mean? Some French language. Because Joe was good at using French language. Okay? So Corn Pop, I think went on when the pool came out. So they start instigating Joe. They said, "Joe, you're going to get your A whip. He's going to cut you. He's going to get his boys on you. You better not walk home tonight. Don't come back to the pool again." Okay? Joe went to the manager who was controlling the pool, and he tried to ask the manager. And the manager told Joe, said, "Well, you better get some help, get the police or something." At the time, we wasn't scared of the police because we would break up the gangs. We just had a meeting on the Hill and about the black movement. Everybody was going to the movement of Malcolm, Martin, Gandhi, and Margaret Atwood, all of them. And we were stepping from one place to another place, into another life. And Joe got nervous, but he stood his ground. Corn Pop wasn't after him. Corn Pop put fear into him. Everybody else, Chop Smalley, Merk Wiggins, all of them put fear into him. And he, after years, he came up to me and said, "What about Corn Pop? What about Corn Pop?" I said, "Man, Corn Pop ain't one about you, but I was wrong." How many people can say when they do something, "I'm wrong"? Especially in a black neighborhood. That the neighborhood Barry took over this community because this community was Irish. All this was Irish. They had a skating ring, ice skating ring we couldn't go into. They had this pool we couldn't go into. But with Joe's help, as a public defender, as a county councilman, as a person that wasn't scared to walk the community, this pool changed. When Joe came here, it changed. Because we showed Joe that we could accept white people. We wasn't mad at white folks. We didn't have a racist bone in our body. We young folks that was trying to understand the movement of life. And they used to tease him about, all you black, all you white. And that's where he got that concept on, if you black and you don't vote for me, then you must not be black. Because that's some of the slang that he heard growing up growing up and stuff.
This was the start of a lifelong friendship. From an interview with PBS Frontline, Smith said, "We became friends. He said one thing, I said another thing. I was a very troubled child, okay? Leader of a gang, no food at home, electric cut off, no soap, sometimes no soap for to take a bath, no hot water, live off surplus, a welfare check. The community shared our food with each other. Half the time I didn't go to school because I didn't have the right clothes and stuff. So I was a troubled guy. The gang was my safe haven. It was my village. Because one thing I could do, I could go into a house and take a bath. Go into the house and get a meal. Because when you got big families, and one family we had in our community, 2 families was 18 and 20 people. Okay, that was the Wilmores and the Owens and stuff. And they always have a pot on the stove. And they brought, when you figure 20 people bringing their friends in, or 18 people bringing their friends in, the pot got to be really big.
I couldn't go on being the old mouse because everybody glued me with Joe Biden and his family. So I had to change. So Joe saved my life. Because if it wasn't Joe, I probably would be in jail for life. I'd probably been dead. I'd probably been in a wheelchair. I'd probably been a bum on the corner. But with Joe, spirit coming from me, I had to walk the straight line and be somebody. So let's not say everything in the world's racist, because Joe's an example that all people can get along.
President Biden wrote and published an article on Yahoo following Richard Smith's death. He said, "When I decided to run for public office, Mouse took me door to door in Delaware's black neighborhoods. He educated me on the challenges facing black communities, and he vouched for me with the many black religious and civic leaders in Delaware who would soon become my lifelong friends. I was the best man in Mouse's wedding, and watched with so much pride as he became a leader in the Longshoremen, the NAACP, and the Rainbow Coalition. So when we became friends, he took to me, and the next thing I know, he got out of college. He was doing public defending and stuff, and when he came, I told him. I said, man, let me tell you something. I said, I'm going to take you in these houses, and if a roach come on your shoulder, just push it off and keep talking, or let it go where it need to go. If they come in with a mayonnaise jar or peanut glass, because all good glasses come from peanut butter, okay? They used to put glasses up there with little flowers on it and stuff. That was crystal to us, okay? Somebody brings you some Kool-Aid and they put it in a mayonnaise jar or peanut jar, don't look at the jar, drink it. Just drink it the way they drink it. If they offer you some food, eat it. I don't care what type of food it is, you eat it. If you sit in one of those chairs, we had these big old couches, big chairs and stuff, and a spring would pop up because they were used couches and used covers you sit on. I said, if a spring jump up and hit you in your butt, just move over, get out of the way, and sit there. Don't embarrass the project and the poor people because the way their house is or what they give to you, because that's all they got. The East Side held an annual August Quarterly on French Street, a celebration full of music and festivities. The French Street Quarterly ended in the late 60s, as the city, in response to anxiety from whites about potential police clashes amidst an influx of African American celebrators, proposed to build a civic center that would require 22 blocks of the East Side to be demolished.
When you look at the city of Wilmington, and then you go over on another part of the city, which is Charlie Square, and when you look at the east side and south side and northeast, you see it tremble to nothing. But you see Charlie Square steady being stronger neighborhood, a stronger neighborhood. Nighttime, sitting in the middle of the street, having drinks and stuff. Walk the streets 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, dogs and stuff. With the little dogs. Acme Market there, little shops there and stuff. But when you come down to our neighborhood, which is about 5 or 6, 8 blocks over, you begin to see like we're in Beirut or we're in Afghanistan or something. We begin to look like these folks don't want no.
Bids for the demolition were opened 3 weeks prior to Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. This plan to demolish parts of the Black community may have been the icing on the cake for the months of rioting that followed King's death.
After Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, riots broke out in Wilmington, and the National Guard stayed for almost a year.
Though much of the East Side would wind up demolished, the Civic Center would stagnate in 1972, and the project would never be completed. From that point on, Richard Smith's career was devoted to community organization and speaking with one voice, inspired by the civil rights leaders of the 60s. His leadership within the NAACP was priceless.
When all these groups got together, the Muslim stuff said enough is enough. Right. We at the table now at the Urban League, at the boardroom, 1 o'clock with NAACP and all us, and we plan to be there every week. And we plan to bring our resources in. And we plan to come up with the 3 plans that they already got, Jay, and then our plan. Mm-hmm. Our plans to get People Salmon open, to get Kingswood open, to get everything we had to make the city whole and begin to teach people how to vote and not take their vote for a bottle of liquor or $10 or $100 and chicken bone, but use those votes to take our city back.
I believe there's a couple moments that are memorable that he worked with the NAACP. When the Moyer School was in jeopardy of losing its charter, he threw the full weight of the NAACP behind keeping that school open. And for a while it worked, but the politics got greater and we weren't able to have the time to do some of the things that we wanted to do. But Mouse was there. And he was fighting. Sometimes he'll show up to the meetings before I even got there, or members of the board would have gotten there. But there's a personal one that happened. And I don't want to get too far into the details of it, but Mouse was there when this church faced discrimination by our own. And he shared with us that we should never, ever have to be treated as if we are less than because we are church, or because we may not have the money that some others have to be able to get the lawyers and things of that nature. And he was right there. The NAACP was very supportive, and I'm always going to remember him for that.
Well, a lot of people don't know Mouse had a huge part to do in marriage equality.
Hi, I'm Richard Smith, the president of the Delaware NAACP. As the largest civil rights organization, the NAACP has always stood for treating everyone fairly under the law, which is why we support civil marriage equality in Delaware. Our gay brothers and sisters should have the freedom to marry the person they love, just like the rest of us. Join us and Equality Delaware in supporting a marriage equality bill this year.
What is it, something in Wilmington or in Delaware that Mouse has changed forever? The police department, the policing in the state of Delaware. He has exposed, and enough legal things have occurred where it will never be the same.
A cop grabbed a person by the head and just take and slam his head. That is no cop. That's a thug, just like they say about us. A guy was bit by the dog and tore his vein out, while the cop, how you move your legs and your nerves, while the cop stood on his legs. and watched the dog bite him. 5 cops did. You got Chief Tracy don't talk to nobody. Only thing he do is shoot numbers out there. And you got Delaware, Wilmington, the most dangerous city per size. The dog can hold your arm, tearing your.
This is the first I've ever heard of that.
Imagine that. Imagine then when you move your leg, they telling you be still while the dog grab your arm out, and the cop get on top of your legs.
That's horrible.
And hold your legs down while the dog continue tearing your arm out. That's the Wilmington Police. We got the young guys who's controlling the guns and stuff, shooting each other, young blacks and stuff, in 5 different areas of the city. And then we got the police who's trying to kill us all. And it needs to be stopped.
The body cameras, it will never be the same. Being able to defend people who the police brutality had just about taken, it will never be the same. I'm not saying it won't ever happen again, but he was the one who brought the light to it. He was one of the ones who made sure that legislation was passed. He never ever took the back seat. He stayed in the front. And that type of leadership will forever be remembered here in the state of Delaware, as well as in the city of Wilmington.
There was a place where they took him at and was no witness or nothing. Now it's their word between his word, and he cannot speak up now because he's dead.
The NAACP sent this letter asking the U.S. Attorney General to lead the probe into the shooting because they're concerned a state police-led investigation would create a conflict of interest.
There's a personal one that happened, and I don't want to get too far into the details of it, but Mouse was there when this church faced discrimination by our own. And he shared with us that we should never ever have to be treated as if we are less than because we are church, or because we may not have the money that some others have to be able to get the lawyers and things of that nature. And he was right there. The NAACP was very supportive, and I'm always going to remember him for that. He didn't look for credit. He didn't look to say, hey, why don't you make sure that I get in this paper or make sure this happened. Mouse just made it happen.
But I don't get paid for doing it.
Right, nothing, right.
I don't get no gas money.
Yeah.
I don't get no food money. I don't get no water money.
Okay.
When somebody call me, I'm on the duty and do what I need to do.
Right.
That's why I'm able to say what I want to say, because I haven't took no grant money for nobody.
Yeah. He spent his life ensuring that those who could not be heard get heard. He fought relentlessly, and I'm going to miss him, and this community will miss him, because he's one of the few who are unbossed and unbought. I believe that the greatest accomplishment that Richard Mouse Smith did was he decided, I'm going to be a champion for the voiceless.
I started this 10 years old with Hicks Anderson. And now I'm in my 70s. I could bet anything I want because I had the community. You cannot work without the community. You cannot go out there and speak, say I'm speaking for the community. I'm fighting for the community if you ain't speaking to the community.
As a leader, I think there was a famous quote that said, point and tell people what to do is management, but be with the people and show the heart is friendship. He was a friendship leader. He was there in the trenches.
They found young kids wasn't getting fed, mothers couldn't pay the rent and stuff, and they start feeding. They start Operation Bread Basket, and they say, well, let's go back to this community and let's teach them how to clean the streets. Teach them how to put some food in the community, put some breakfast and lunch in the community. Make sure that education, let's put some tours and stuff in education. It got so bad in one community, which is South Carolina, that North Carolina wouldn't take a black man and an Ammonite or a black woman, an Ammonite, that they were sick. Let's put some cars out there. Let's make sure that we take them to the hospital and let's make the hospital serve them and stuff. Till we come together and say, the process is out there. Mm-hmm. We got to work the process. We got to begin to tell the people in our community to keep their streets clean. We got to begin this, if we see a young child hungry or anything, go in our pockets, whatever, and make sure those kids have some food. We got to push the schools back to lunches and stuff like that. We got to bring the Black doctors in our community and say, give the right shots and make sure that we don't get these different diseases and stuff like that. It's the Black community as a we, and we ain't using we right now.
This is how I summarize it. A man who stood taller in his stocking feet than most other men do on stilts. Didn't have a lot of money, but had a lot of prestige. He rubbed elbows with the biggest and the most mighty, powerful people in the world, but he embraced and supported the weakest and the smallest in the world.
There are kids who get out of college, can't get a job, or there ain't no summer programs for kids, ain't nothing. And there's no money, but you can't blame one mayor. We can't have failing programs. If somebody say that they sent a program in this city and it was successful, they need to try again. Because I haven't seen nothing successful yet. Only thing I've seen successful is funerals when people get killed, when young guys get killed. The funeral business is successful. Mm-hmm. We turn around and some of us over here, some of us over there, some of us that way. Black contractors can't get no work. There's $1 billion work in between Wilmington and the state of Delaware. They can't make a decent dollar. And we are trying to put each other down.
He reminds me of an eggshell. He was hard enough on the outside to keep the predators from getting in, but soft enough on the inside to ensure that the yoke was not broken. I think he's the hero we're gonna remember forever.
And Joe loved me. Okay. And Joe changed me. Okay.
What did Mouse and others teach Biden?
Surviving. How to love yourself. How to respect each other. How to know that there's a bunch of people that got your back. Because love's deeper than anything in the world.
Richard Mouse Smith's legacy of selflessness, dedication, and love will live on forever.
yes, he will. And said I was.
Said I was.
Sunday, when I heard you on the Zoom, and I said, Dr. Carey, what are you doing on the Zoom? God must work in mysterious ways, because I punch your name too to be on Zoom, and you got a chance to understand what the NAACP do, how they talk about things, how they organize things, how they get deep into the subject. Okay, the subject Sunday was two subjects. One was a board president for the Indian River and a captain of the state police department.
Yes.
The other one was the flag and what they're doing in Georgetown, Sussex County. And what happened, Del Castle went to play in the river.
Right.
And Del Castle went. And this president, so-called captain of the police department, was in the stands. And when the coach started clapping for his teams and stuff, he said, hey, boy, you stop clapping.
Yeah.
You don't know where you at.
Yeah.
We'll do something with you. And you got to realize where you at. You're in the South now, something like that. Was very threatening and stuff. And it went on, they went back and forth, and the president got more serious and had his troopers and people come around the coach and stuff. And they got back to the papers picked it up, and it was like one of the worst threats you can get. It was like being in the South all by yourself. And it was terrorist threat. It was violation of civil rights. It was a civil right, another civil rights threat. And can you imagine? 40% of the school is black kids, and he's on the board. And the black teachers are scared of the same thing because he's on the board.
Right.
His brother is a principal at another school in that school district. Their family controlled that whole district in the Indian River. It was known that he was the one that up in Millsboro, a little town called Johnsontown, that he was the one that had a Spanish state trooper going there doing anything to black folks. He's in charge of that barrack, Troop 3. And he's doing anything. He's very wicked and very dangerous.
Yeah, let me just, because you give me some really good information. And Miles, I've known you for the time I've been here. You have really been working hard for African American people of color. And I want to make sure that those who are watching me clearly understand this is not no wolf tickets that you're selling. You're talking about a person who is the president of the school board for Indiana, I think it is, or
Indian River,
right here in Delaware.
Yes.
He is the president of the school board.
Yes.
This person, because Hodson, which is from up here in close, that's from Del Castle area, they won the game. The coach is cheering, say, hey, congratulations. And let me quote exactly what he said, according to what I read in the paper. He said, you ain't from around here, these parts, boys. Now, think about it. You're down there in his territory. He is a state trooper. He's a lieutenant in the state trooper department. Oh, he's a captain now. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a captain. He's in charge.
So he's a captain in the state trooper department or police department, and he would dare have the gall to say you ain't from this part of town to black men.
Yes.
In 2022.
Right, and more.
Right. Well, I heard you say there was more. And matter of fact, there was some interaction going back and forth, and there is some video on this, so it's not like we're making this all up.
Right.
There's video and audio on this whole thing. So how is it that he's in charge of our kids? And I looked up the population of Georgetown or down in that area where he kind of well, he's not really Georgetown. Is he?
Well, being the state trooper, he controlled all.
Right. It's 23, right?
Troop 3.
Troop 3,
He
okay.
controlled all that, which is about 187,000 people or 200,000 people.
Oh, wow.
And so his troop controlled that whole, from Delmore, Delaware, up to Milford.
Wow.
To the river to Maryland. So his troop controlled all that. And, you know, he just one case of it.
Oh, I know.
Because the Brandywine School District principal told the kids, hey, I don't want to call you by your name no more. Your new name, this is the principal, your new name is nigger.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And they covered that up. And he should have been fired. When we started complaining, that some blacks came along and saved him. But how can my kid go to a school and be called, change their name to the N-word?
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
So dealing with a white racist school board president, they can be that
Let's
way.
back it up a little bit.
Okay.
A white racist system.
Okay. Say it again.
The system.
The system.
Yeah.
Right. But even though the system is, but we keep electing people who support this system.
But the problem downstate when it comes to the school board and in Wilmington,
Uh-huh.
we don't have a black PTA, which we should have. Blacks don't come out to vote. In the city, like this city is, Wilmington goes all the way to Newark. So we got what we have in Wilmington, in certain parts of Wilmington, maybe 20,000 votes. You got another 40,000 votes or 60,000 votes sitting in Newark and Bear that vote for Wilmington. And we can win the way we're supposed to. One guy in Ray Clay lived in on Limestone Road, but he's a delegate for Wilmington, and he plays to where the numbers is, which is the county, because he can get more votes. We can't win.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that's why we have to, and you said this too, we have to find a way to, everybody got to come together.
But the problem with coming together, when they take program money and they give people 10,000, 50,000 here, and they split the power structure up among us.
Right.
And we can't come around the table, and regardless of what they're doing, come around the table to help our people and come in salary. We are in trouble.
Yeah.
And then the ones really speak up become blackball and say, don't mess with him.
Right.
Don't mess with her.
Right.
And then you can't support your people.
Yeah, and you know, people often said to me, why don't you get this grant money? That's the reason why. Because when you take their money, you have to play by their rules. I think it was Sinead Darby who said, whoever fund you, run you. And I'm starting to believe that more and more and more. But we do have to find a way to pull together preachers, politicians, those who are really for the cause. And we're going to start lifting our voices because we're talking today. We're starting off the show talking about what's going on down there in Sussex County with this racist police officer and school board president who, by the way, you know, it's down there also with a Confederate flag.
Yeah, but it's also, before we get to Confederate flag and closing this part out, it was a lawsuit put down there. And the lawsuit was won by black folks.
Right.
And that was 3 or 4 years ago. That lawsuit was supposed to be not haven't been put in place yet. And Dr. Waters, who was a school board member on it, she's been fighting to get that lawsuit to go. And what they did again, they went and got the wrong kind of people, black folks, to put on their committee. Who really ain't gonna take a stand.
They got their business together. We're the ones who just fractured. We're just, and we say we represent our people, and we hurt those who are trying their best to work hard. Like I see you running up and down the state crazy. You have to have about 400,000 miles on your car because you.
I had 3 cars. Okay. But I don't get paid for doing it.
Right, nothing. Right.
I don't get no gas money.
Yeah.
I don't get no food money. I don't get no water money.
Okay.
When somebody call me, I'm on the duty and do what I need to do.
Right.
That's why I'm able to say what I want to say, because I haven't took no grant money for nobody.
Yeah. Dan Miles, and you can tell me, you know, what you can bring us up to wherever you want to be, because you're dealing with all these cases we talked about. You're on the battlefield and you're making things happen. But I just don't understand why we keep getting treated so low. But you can start wherever you want to start, and I'm gonna give you that opportunity.
First of all, it's a misunderstanding of jurisdiction when it comes to schools in the city of Wilmington. The power of the schools is the constables and the state police. The power of the stores, when you run up Governor Prince down DuPont, in front of the store is the state police, and back of the store is the county. This particular incident, I was called by Kobe, 9 o'clock Sunday morning. Mouse, get up, get up. They just beat the kids like they wasn't nothing. We got another Devon Moses case. It was the county police that threw the girl on the ground, sit on her. He's 200-some pounds, and hurt her back. Maybe broke her back. She had an orifice, a hip on her, and he just threw on the ground. I told Kobe, I said, the county police have no business dealing with the schools. It's the state police. The county police have no business running up on kids and stuff. It's the state police. He sent the video to us. We had another little conversation before when they even got folks on the phone. The county police was doing all the pushing the kids, doing everything the kids, while the state police was sitting back looking.
I saw that, yeah.
Okay? The county police had no business on that school property at all. No business running up there on those kids and stuff. Now we got a young lady that is hurt, that is about 17 years old, whatever. Got an artificial hip that a big cop threw on the ground, sit on her, and then lock her up for inciting a riot. Inciting a riot is a 25-year punish up to life. That's the kind of charge that the county police put on this kid. And it's wrong.
Absolutely.
We've been having problems for years at basketball games, years ago, at football games because of Howard. Used to be Howard, Wilmington High, used to be Howard and somebody else. Now it's Howard and Brandywine. Okay. I don't know. We used to have counselors in the school, gang control workers, people who can talk to the kids like Muhammad and all them.
Right.
None of that. There's a problem with the county police. Because then the lawyer I had said that he wanted to have a news conference because what we found in deposition, the county rides around the city, and when they have nothing to do, they come look at people's cars, they come search people's cars, they stop people, and they don't get permission off the city of Wilmington, or the city of Wilmington don't know they're doing that.
Wow.
Okay? They out of control. And Mac Myers, who just gave them a contract because of some other things that I ain't gonna say right now.
All right.
Is going along with all this stuff that the county cops is doing.
Oh, wow.
And letting the FOP of the county cops division and officers do anything they want to black folks.
Wow.
He lied to us, Mac, about Mosley, turned the case loose, going to do everything for the family, to bring justice to the family. The 3 cops got off with it by the Attorney General's office on Mosley. Now the depositions come out with the truth. And it's terrible what the county cops is sneaking in this city doing.
Yeah, I know Jay Street raised some strong opposition even on the floor of county council, saying it has to stop. It has to stop. People need to understand jurisdictional integrity. It's not your area. Why are you doing this? And you're naming stuff right now. I'm just sitting here saying, wow. I mean, and then if the city doesn't even know, how people come in your house and you don't know they're here?
Well, my problem is I always see the county cops in the city.
Right.
All types of night, everything. And I went up Governor Prince one night by a food fair. Food, whatever it is. And
Food Lion.
Food Line. They were standing in the little street where Food Line is, down Food Line. just outside the city.
Okay.
And they were playing hip hop music and stuff. And they were dancing to the hip hop music. I pulled my window down. And as I pulled my window down, looked and drove slow, I went up on, they get on 495. Here they coming back at me. And they stopped me. And I didn't say nothing. They say, you got tense window. I said, what? You got tense? Well, I brought my car off the floor. It's company tent. Well, something's wrong. I said, well, you need to check that out. Well, I said, because I'm the president of the NAACP. If you wrong, I'm getting on you for profiling. You went and got the sheen, right? I said, what's the number of the sheen? Oh, it's a half point different. It's a half point right on the line, trying to play it safe, right? I said, here you go, stop me for no reason at all. I should turn you in and get a profile. I said, you stopped me because you on Governor Prince next to Wilmington with hip hop music, and 2 weeks later, Lamont Mosley get killed.
Oh, wow. Oh, over in Riverside.
Over in Riverside.
Wow.
They go around and they pick on people. I had seen the state troopers over 24th and Taples, but these black state troopers. And they got out of the car and started playing basketball. I got the pictures. They started playing basketball with the kids and stuff. That's a little different. But the county cops go look for things inside the city to arrest or I don't know what they doing with the information. I don't know how many people they done hurt because they won't, the people won't say nothing.
Right.
Okay. Getting to the school, the target right now at the school with the same principal that called the kids the N-word, you know.
Is that Brandywine?
Brandywine.
Okay.
No support and no counselors from the community involved, knowing that's a problem when those kids coming from 22nd and Pine and other place, Howard, and they come in knowing that they don't get along, no J Street, no Kobe, nobody sitting there organizing, and now we got a kid that hurt. I can go on and on.
Right, and because there's so much that's going on, and the reason why I wanted to do this show today, Miles, is because I see you working hard. I see NAACP trying. You're in a state that is racist.
Yeah.
We get accused. I'm
black people too.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Don't leave all white people.
Listen, but that's why you and I noticed when you said just say system, because there are some black folks who buy into the system,
right?
Who are put in the front to try to make sure that racism stay alive. We have been disrespected to levels that I've never could even imagine.
But I'm gonna stop you on that because I want to get this piece in. I have another case that young man hang on 8th from Monroe. He's challenged the cops all the time. I don't know if he's dealing with ever, but there's a bunch of kids out there, young folks doing it. A woman cop come along and stop him, and he got back and forth with him. And when he got back and forth with him, they wanted to lock him up, and he kind of resists. And a big cop threw him on the ground, and then stood on top of his legs. Then they got the K9 dog, and they bit all his arm out.
Oh my gracious.
Okay.
This happened recently?
About 6 months ago.
Oh, wow.
And the young man's so scared, he won't tell the paper.
Okay.
We're trying to get a lawsuit together on the officer. We need him. But he said, Mouse, let me tell you something. When you go, they come after me. And we said, well, we got lawyers and stuff, and we can stop the officers from doing. No, I don't believe it.
Well, with this Leo boy, it's going to be hard to stop them from doing it because they do what they want to do and they get off. But it's always working against the black people and the black and brown people in our community. But you made a very good point. We got too many, because we're almost coming to the end of this show. We're going to have to do more of these, and we are going to do more of these shows because as you're calling people around the table, I want to make sure that we keep it going. We want to make sure that you have the power to be able to have a voice. All too often, even on these shows that we have, People don't want to talk about this. I don't have an issue with it because I come from the heart of the ghetto in Philadelphia. So the reality of it is, I know what it is to be discriminated against, but I also know when I see people who are trying to help. I also know fake, phony folks too. So what I'm hoping is that one, the people you're calling around the table, they will make up their mind. Look, it's worth me getting in this fight. Number two, I hope that we get an opportunity to get some of our ministers, because I see you're calling everybody, and we have to drop our theological differences. We have to drop our personal differences because our people are dying. One of the things I say here, Mouse, often is we have to be able to help people who can't help us back. And right now, God has blessed me as a person who have, got a couple of degrees. I can't sit in a lofty spot and say, I got mine, because God blessed me to be able to help somebody else. You have been working your whole life to help people. Right. It's a part of your quest. It's a part of, so at some point we have to join forces and we have to make it happen.
The other thing is this. If we come together, we get the program, we can make Derek Johnson a director of something. We can make this person a director of something. We in the state can get these programs and put the team together and get the kids out of college, Wilmington College, Dell State, and Dell Tech on, and put them and teach them how to be field workers and get the information that we
that's what they're afraid of if we come together. So what they do is they keep us separated. We can hold each other accountable. Right. But the problem is they don't want that. That's why they keep putting money in certain places and saying and giving it to sellouts, so the sellouts can be able to keep their agenda going. But I do hope and trust that within the next couple of weeks, we're going to get some follow-ups. We got to see where we're going and what's happening with some of these meetings. And you know what, Mouse? I hope at some point we all get to a place where we start calling people out.
Well, the most important thing about me as president, I can leave there tomorrow, because I can continue doing what I'm doing, because I got history doing that. But if I got a weak board of directors who ain't telling me when I'm doing right or wrong or stuff like that, that's a problem. I got to have a director to see what I say, see what the community say, and be able to speak on that. Not say, well, we great up against the mayor, we great go, oh, nah, they gave me some, no, I can't do that.
We can't have that.
I can't have that kind
and I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure that we spend some time coming back so that we'll be able to really talk about some more that's happening in our community. This troubled me, so I wanted to make sure that those of you who are watching, go ahead. You going to say something?
Thank you.
Yeah.
For always opening your doors. I thank you for not running away from nothing. I've seen you take the beatings over the years because what you stood for and what you stood up. And I'm glad to be in your presence and a part of you now. I'm glad to have somebody to go to, because many times when I run to the politicians and stuff, they look the other way. They say, here he come again, complaining about, black folks are bad, black folks use drugs, black folks do this.
So does white folks.
Yeah.
But they take care of theirs.
Yeah.
And we got to learn to take care of ours.
Yeah.
And Miles, as I told you before, and I'll tell you on this air, I don't care if you and I have a personal difference. It's about the people we represent. Right. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you who watched and stayed tuned to this time that we have with Coffee with Curry. Again, Mouse being now in the presence of the Lord, we have to keep the fight going. For the next week or so, we will continue to get information when the services will be for him. I hope we show up in great numbers. Let us show the family, let us show the world that while Mouse is gone, he shall never be forgotten. This old song, let the work I've done speak for me. Now is the time for his work to speak for him. Until the next time we get together, may the Lord God bless you real good.
Thank you for watching this episode of Coffee with Curry. Tune in next week, Sunday at 11 a.m.